2021 is the year of COVID-19 vaccines and variants. Vaccines have been a remarkable success story of the COVID-19 pandemic. A range were rolled out in just a year, with clinical trial data suggesting very high levels of effectiveness against SARS CoV-2 infection. Early real-world data also demonstrated a high level of protection against severe COVID-19 disease, which means overall, vaccines work incredibly well at protecting people against hospitalisation and death. The chink in the armour of vaccines are variants. At the beginning of 2021, alpha, beta and gamma were identified variants of concern. These all had apparently different points of origin and different properties that threaten degrees of increased transmissibility, disease severity and vaccine evasion. Lab studies showed that overall, only a small degree of vaccine protection was lost in the face of these new variants. Except for one caveat, with the Oxford-AstraZeneca vaccine and the beta variant, which had a more significant drop in protection. This was also evidenced in a clinical trial in South Africa, which had to be stopped when the Oxford-AstraZeneca vaccine did little to stop SARS CoV-2 infections. This was enough to worry scientists that SARS CoV-2 could still mutate into a more severe, more transmissible and more evasive virus that could cause another potentially more deadly wave of the pandemic. Those fears were confirmed with the arrival of the Delta variant in India. After an extremely deadly wave in India, the Delta variant has now spread to several countries around the world, including the US and UK. These two countries have had some of the fastest vaccine rollout programs in the world, yet the Delta variant is rising exponentially. So what's happening? In the UK, which has some of the best genomic sequencing in the world, scientists at Public Health England have been rapidly compiling data to provide a detailed overview of the Delta variant situation. Their research has concluded that the Delta variant is much fitter in the evolutionary sense, being approximately 60% more transmissible than the previously dominant Alpha variant, which again was already about 50% more transmissible than the original SARS CoV-2 virus. There is also a double risk of hospitalisation with the Delta variant. But what about vaccines? That's where there is some good news. After 2 doses of either the Oxford-AstraZeneca, Moderna or Pfizer, which are currently being used in the UK, vaccine effectiveness is around 80%. The bad news is that after only 1 dose, effectiveness is much lower than with the other variants, providing much weaker protection. The UK's decision to distance vaccine doses 12 weeks apart means that a large portion of the population only have 1 dose at the moment, meaning that many are still vulnerable to infection and COVID-19 disease. This is possibly one reason why cases are rising so rapidly. But will high case numbers lead to high levels of hospitalisations in a highly vaccinated population? Early indications are hopeful that they won't. The link between cases, hospitalisations and deaths has been weakened, although not broken. Vaccine effectiveness against hospitalisations for the Delta variant is 75% for 1 vaccine dose and 94% for 2. This means that the majority of those double vaccinated, if infected with SARS CoV-2, will have much milder COVID-19 disease than those who are unvaccinated. The arrival of the Delta variant and the impact of the wave of infections that hit India heralds a troubling new stage of the pandemic. Vaccines are still effective, but 2 doses are needed to give the best protection. It's a race against time, as the Delta variant has been detected in over 80 countries and counting, many of which are only at the very beginning of their vaccine rollout. And with 11 billion doses needed to vaccinate the world, according to the World Health Organization, but only 1 billion promised by the recent G7 meeting, the non-equitable vaccine rollout means there are many opportunities for the virus to continue to spread and mutate, which could lead to a new vaccine-evasive variant. It's becoming a mantra that policymakers all over the world need to remember. We're not safe until we're all safe.